Hey, good evening, everybody. We'll be starting here in a few moments here. We're just giving people time to get on. Hope you guys had a great week. And we are already halfway through the week. Got somebody in the house in the UK. Big shout out to Leah in the house. Just a few more moments. We're not gonna wait too long. We're gonna get right into it in a little bit here. All right, I hope you guys had a great one. It was warm out today, Jack. It was warm out today. We are in case you don't know by now, I am broadcasting to you live from Arizona. And today it got up to about in the car it was saying 111. Now, I know some people, when it comes to heat, it varies. Now, let me give you my example. Oh yeah, Leah said, I knew, that's what I thought. She says 2 a.m. over there. I've lived in the Northeast, I've lived in the Southeast, and I live out here. Well, I've also lived out west too, this is our second go around. When living in in the Northeast, it can go high, it can go, it's mild. I would say it's more like a mild situation going on there. I would categorize the weather there as relatively mild. Like it gets hot sometimes, you do get the humidity, you do get that too. But it's all in all, I would say the Northeast tends to be mild. All right. Southeast, on the other hand, it depends on where you are. Like if you're in Georgia, you got the humidity, right? You definitely going to get the humidity there. And it depends on what part of Georgia. If you're talking Atlanta, you're going to get the humidity there. But if you're going down to Savannah, it's going to be more. But the further south you go, now we're talking Florida, which I lived in Florida. Oh, my. Now, that's Florida. Now, I also know we got people in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. I've been through all those states and some hot times. And oh, my goodness, that humidity, boy. That humidity. Miss Sana said, good evening, Brother Dwayne. I'm at work, and I am so glad you are live tonight to keep me up. I'm glad you're here too, sis. Yeah, man. But the humidity, boy. Ooh, Now, it would be, let's say at night in Florida, it would be, you might get like, it may touch 100, high 90s. But see, at nighttime, I mean, that means no sun. So so it's 98, 99 at nighttime. And the heat is one thing, but the humidity, oh my goodness. It's stifling. Like they said, it's just stifling. And it's no way. I can't see it going any higher than that. I don't know if you can survive if it went any higher than that with all of that humidity, right? So that's those areas. Like I said, North Carolina, y'all know what you're talking about. South Carolina, I mean, it gets hot, you get the humidity, but I would still categorize it as somewhat on the mild side. Now, let's talk about, let's see, Midwest. I don't really have a whole lot of experience with that. I can't really talk too much about the Midwest. I've lived in Colorado. Yeah, their weather is, they good. They good. But California, definitely good. But Arizona, this is a whole class in of itself. Now, when it's like 100, over 100, 102, 105, believe it or not, I actually drive with the windows down. I prefer the windows down. Yeah. Is it hot? Yes, it is hot. It's hot for sure. But it's like they said, now again, I'm going to add to the whole, it's a dry heat. Now it is, but I'm speaking on my experience. There is definitely a difference between the heat out here versus down like in Florida. Someone mentioned Houston, which I don't have any experience with Houston, but I heard it gets hot down there too. But, yeah, the heat here, it's the best way I can describe it is almost like an oven. That's the only way I could describe it. Nicole and I, we went for a walk yesterday, and this was when the sun was going down. I just felt waves of just heat coming, but it's one thing driving in it. Walking in it, I could do it, but I prefer it once, it gets cooler, like maybe first thing in the morning or at nighttime when the sun is down. It's lovely. But during the day, oh my goodness. Like I said, but I do like it when I'm driving in the car and, it's over 100 degrees, man. Oh, for some reason, I just love it. As long as there's like a breeze hitting my face, I'm good. And, but yeah, that heat, boy, it's a whole nother level out here for real. Make no mistake about it. And then when you start getting up to 117 or maybe 120, whoo. Yeah, I've experienced that. It's quite toasty. We've been doing solar or sun water. You do sun tea. Well, you don't necessarily have to do tea. You can just put water out there and it gets supercharged with the sun, So I've been putting mint leaves and lemon, slices of lemon in my glass jar. I sit it out there for about 4 hours. When I come in and I pour it in my cup, it's steaming. Literally, it's steaming like I would just had it, like I had it in a pot somewhere. It's literally steaming. It's really something to see. And so, you've seen the videos of people cracking eggs and, you can fry. That is no doubt in my mind you can do that out there. But I do want to try some other things too. I was like, what can I cook out here, in the sun and see what happens. I could do some things, but it's quite something. So it's not whether that I would say hey, I can walk out here only if I had to and at a short distance. But usually out living in a climate like this is usually, if you're going to do something, do it early in the day. If you're going to do something outside, or do it in the evening, and then that's pretty much it because it's quite something. But I prefer this heat over any southeastern heat any day of the week. I embrace it with both hands, with both arms. I'm telling you, because the southeastern heat, our brothers and sisters down in the southeast, man, it takes a special person for real. Just like out here, but that humidity is, man, that humidity, boy, that humidity is it's something else. I still have flashbacks of that. being in Florida. I remember my wife, she'll say, man, I've been inside all day. I need to get out. You want to go for a walk down? And, when we're living in Florida, I was like, no, I'm good. I'm good. And it just, there's no comfort in that for me. But I tell you, in Florida, though, wow, y'all, we just talking because I'm still giving people time to come in. Had another flashback. It was my first time. We moved there, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go to the beach, because we were like maybe 8 minutes away from the beach. And yours truly, I walked on the beach with no shoes on. I was carrying my shoes. Now, do y'all remember that part in the movie, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, when the guy who was in prison and he got out of prison, and you know how he was walking, acting like he was cool and all that? Well, that was me. I came out of the car, right? And I was like, oh, okay, man, I would take my shoes off, man. I want to feel that sand. This is going to be, oh man, I'm like 8 minutes away too, man. Let me feel this thing. So I came out there. There was a lot of people out there, right? So I'm walking. I'm like, yeah, man, this feel good. And then all of a sudden I was like, hold it, man. This sand kind of hot. Okay, but it's okay. It's okay. Let me keep on walking. So I'm walking. And I was like, man, why does it seem like the more I walk, the further the water goes? It's like it kept going backwards. I was like, okay, this sand kind of, okay, you funny, sand. Okay, you funny. Okay. You getting a little hot. Okay, well, look, the water right there. Let me keep on going. And I'm going, and the ocean kept going further and further away. And all of a sudden I'm like, okay, like you try to cook some flapjacks or something up in here and some ribs. And that kept on going. I'm like, oh, snap. And by that time, I was doing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, How I Wonder Where You Are on my tippy toes. I was doing everything I could. And by the time I jumped in that water, it was like a Tom and Jerry cartoon, because it was steam coming up. Man, when I tell you that sand was so hot, and yours truly neglected to look at the big old sign that says, yeah, you don't want to walk on here with no shoes on. Because I found out later on that it's a type of sand that they have down there. It has like glass. It's like almost like glass. Like just really grind it down, right? So it's like sand. So just imagine if your face was against a window on a hot sunny day, how would that feel on your face? Man, it will cook you, right? Well, it's the same way where some sands that are out there, the quality, how it's made, it actually has it's almost like a glass effect. So it's like you're walking on glass almost when you get all that glass granulars to granulars, or however you say it, together. It's literally like you're walking on sand. And when I tell you that thing will cook your feet, oh my goodness. I literally thought I was going to lose. I thought I lost some skin, because I had never been on sand that hot. Not even out in California. I've never been in that sand. That's never again. So if you are visiting Florida, and you want to hit that sand, you need to wear some boots up in there, because that sand, oh, my goodness. I mean, Satan was up looking at me from the boardwalk like, you serious? That's how hot it was. But anyway, so glad to have you guys here, and welcome to the platform. I hope you guys had a wonderful day and wonderful week, and we're going to finish this week out strong, right? All right, so today what we're going to talk about, what we're going to get into, is we're going to talk about this thing. It's something that is a hotly debated topic. It's the topic of genetic memory. And you have some people who do believe in it, and then you got others that are like, maybe not so, whatever. But I tend to, there's just an overwhelming amount of evidence, that's out there that proves that, it is a thing. And so how does that relate to us as a people, black folks, or however you want to describe yourself? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to get in, we're going to get into that, into the details of that. I got another UK in the house. Okay. All right. UK showing up 2 a.m. Y'all should be in bed. But that's all right. We're glad you're here. Someone said, greetings, Brother Dwayne and family. We are still waiting for the summer to arrive. Very cold here. Wow. Wow. You know, it actually snowed up in Canada too. I forgot the name of the town, but they actually had some snow up there. So yeah, I like snow from a distance, and I'm not really a big fan of the cold, but I do what I do. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, hey, I'm glad you're here too. I'm glad you're here, and I hope you're inside getting warm and drinking your British tea and whatever it is that y'all drink over there or eat or whatever to get warm. And so yeah, we're gonna talk tonight, okay? So anyway, so I already explained what we're gonna talk about. Remember, if you have not by now checked out our website, sombertree.com, make sure you check it out. We got quite a few things on there as it pertains to health and wellness. That's what we're all about. We're not just sitting here talking about it. We're being about it, and we're sharing with our family all the benefits of why it is that we need to, and especially in this time, in this hour, we need to make sure that we're focusing on our health, our wellness, especially, our mental health. Mental health. Oh my goodness. That is something that during this time, it needs to be a huge priority, your mental health. I'm not saying you're crazy. Okay. Nobody's saying that, but there are things that we need to make sure we do a mental health checkup, because again, what they're talking about right now, what's coming down the pike is a whole nother situation. You remember what we went through with COVID? Well, there's a whole nother thing they got coming down the pike. Okay. And it's coming fast and strong, and we have been covering it. We've been talking about it over in our group on Threema, the Threema app, THREMMA, and we're able to discuss these things in detail, not just what they have planned, but also, what are things we can do, to prepare for that and to get ourselves together. We're doing the same thing we did when COVID came. Same thing. Just getting our people prepared and ready and giving you the tools and resources and, making connections or whatever you got to do, because the music is going to stop again, and you better make sure you got a seat. You understand what I'm saying? And you got to stop listening to these crazies out here that are telling you this is a sign from heaven. That means you got to go away. You got to move now. You got to move. You got to leave the U.S. You got to leave the U.K. And where are we going? I don't know, but you got to leave, and it's like, stop listening to that foolishness. No, because what we're dealing with is a worldwide system. And no matter where you go, it is what it is. But it's your mind that you got to make sure you got together. And then also your health, too. So anyway, what's I going to say? So anyway, so we're doing that on Threema. There's a group that we have, and this is for the people who are just joining us here. One more time, I will go on our YouTube page here, and I will show you again, if you are interested in joining our group here, where we're talking about all these things that we can't really discuss here on YouTube, but we can certainly discuss it on that platform. It's right here as soon as I get it up on the screen. And this is a step-by-step instruction on how to, how to join us. It's very simple. It's very easy. If you're having problems, just email me at connect@journeymanandwoman.com. I'll be more than happy to assist any way I can, but you don't even need that. It's that easy. And there's no secrets or anything like that. I'm not up here talking about, y'all, it ain't no gossip line, and we ain't doing all of that. Okay. We just simply talking about the reality of what's the things that are going on and the practical things we should be doing for ourselves now. And so this is the video here, communication strategy for the next wave. Just watch that video. I go step by step through everything, and that way you'll know exactly what's up. Okay. So anyway, so check that out and get on there. All right. All right. So let's start off like this. Today I was out. I'm sitting out there getting my son, and like I do about an hour a day. Sometimes it's less. I'm learning to listen to my body. Sometimes I can get too goal oriented, and I said, nah, let me listen to my body, And so sometimes it can be less, but usually it's about an hour. And so it's a routine. I get up, I go out. Our cat, she'll go out there, and she sits like in the shaded area, and she just sitting there, just looking around, right? And what we have here, let's see, this time of the year, you'll see a lot of year round, you'll see lizards. They're like small lizards. And then I guess we're in the season now, a lot of grasshoppers. I was like, is this don't let certain people see that. They'll be like, see, I told you the plagues are coming. Anyway, this is a seasonal thing anyway. So grasshoppers, right? So our little kitty, she loves chasing those things. And not all the time, but every now and then she will give it a chase. And so she would just be like, it's funny. I'll just see her. She'll just be laying out in the shade like ain't nothing. The next thing I know, she clicks in this mode, boy. And so today it was no different. All of a sudden she got down. That's my phone. And she started crawling like she was on a hunt, man. She crawled down and then she pounced in the bushes. I don't know if she got it or not. And so I'm sitting there watching this. And I said to myself, I said, it's funny. And I've said this before. I said, I've never taught her that. I never taught her to do that. Not at all. Nobody in the house. I didn't teach her. When we found her, she was a little tiny kitty. And she was in the woods. She got stuck in some bushes. And my son saw her. So we had her for a very long, I'm saying since when she was a little tiny baby. But we didn't teach her that. Nobody in this house taught her how to get down like that and to crawl and to pounce. You didn't teach her that. Or sometimes you'll see her and she licking herself, always cleaning herself. You know how cats do, always cleaning themselves. Never taught her that. She does another thing too. She just started doing. It'll be at nighttime. That's the time she goes out. She like knows now. She's like, yeah, I ain't going out there. I'll sleep during the day, but at nighttime, that's my party time. I'll go out there. But she'll go out at night and she'll be playing with the grasshoppers, chasing them down. And then sometimes she'll bring the grasshopper in the house. You'll know she got something in her mouth because she's like, like she marching, like she done got it. And I was like, what you got? And then she drops it on the ground. And we're like, all of us, we're like, oh, no, you didn't. And then you see the grasshopper flying all every which way. And she just sitting up there like, y'all chill, I got this. And then she'll snatch it back and she'll be up there playing with it, put it in her mouth, drop it, play with it some more, drop it. And then eventually she'll eat it. But this is what cats do. They're doing this thing, but that's where they like playing with their food, right? Well, it's the same thing when you're looking at lions, when you're looking at all of these other what we call wild animals out there, cats in the feline family. That's typically what they do is that they will capture their prey. Sometimes they'll play with it a little bit. That's kind of cruel, right? And then they'll eventually eat it. I saw this one where it was a lion had captured a baby deer and had the baby deer licking the baby deer, and just like rubbing on it and all this stuff. I was like, just eat the thing. And the baby deer just looking around like, I was like, oh, that's sad. That's messed up. And, but we didn't have to teach them that. We didn't have to teach them anything like that. They learned it on its own. It's genetic memory. When you don't even have to teach them anything, they just know. There's I forgot it was a video. It'll take me a minute to remember what video it was because I forgot what topic it was about. But in this video, they were talking about, I may have played it here now I'm thinking about it. But in this video, they actually talked about there's this bird that is a very rare bird. And what they did was they separated this bird. They were doing some kind of, I don't know if it was a study or something like that, where this bird that's already a rare bird, they separated it from similar, it's same, bird type, and had the bird by itself, right? And even, they started off as a little baby bird. But even in that separation, the bird like instinctively knew this song that it was from a rare bird. It was a rare song that only this bird sings. But how did this bird even know to sing it if it was never around anybody to teach it? So I'm getting somewhere with this, okay? I'm getting somewhere with this, but I'm just laying it out for you. So this is what would be described or called genetic memory. In other words, it's something it's not necessarily a hardwired thing per se. Like you can't, I don't know if it's something you can measure or probably see under a microscope, but it's something that's kind of just there. You know what I'm saying? There are many plants and animals that do the same thing. When you look at different plants, how many times did you pass by a school and you happen to look inside the window of a classroom and you see a bunch of orange trees sitting up there with taking notes? Little sapling trees, they up there taking notes. They got their little notepad and they're like, okay. And then the teacher, she up there like, okay, now, so what you're going to do is when you get this height, this is what you're going to do. Now you're going to feel that your branch is starting to get a little heavy. And when you do that, now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to start moving some of those, the biological things inside of you over to those things. No, they know to do that. It's instinctive, but it's also, like I said, again, I'm referring to it, or it's referred to as genetic memory. You're doing what's already inside of you. You understand? And so this is what we say as well as you people like you and myself. We are demonstrating everything that we are manifesting right now as individuals. It's a conglomeration of different things that we learn from watching our parents or uncles and aunts, but it's also things that were passed down generationally that you may not have directly had access to, but indirectly, these are habits, practices that it just got passed down to you. It's funny when you talk to some people. I'll talk about my wife, for example. I believe it was her grandfather, if I'm not mistaken. She talked about how he was an entrepreneur. And I think he was also in real estate or something like that. Well, it passed her parents. And then for her, she's been in real estate, was very successful. I'm talking about my wife. And she's an entrepreneur. And that's just something that she didn't even know until she was actually doing it. There are also stories of people who may say, my child's going to be a doctor. And you may think, oh, that just came out of nowhere. No, a lot of times if you look into your family history, you'll find somewhere down the line, somebody was a doctor or a mechanic or, a singer or whatever. These things just don't happen and just fall on you. It doesn't work that way. We're all connected. When you look at your family tree, like that's what they call it, you'll find that these things you'll find that these things oftentimes will get passed down through what we would call, like I said, again, it's like genetic memory. Okay. So I hope I kind of made that kind of clear. So like with me, for example, I feel like it's a hodgepodge of different things that's in me. I mean, this doesn't make me better. It's just all of a sudden I get a desire to do this. Okay, I'll do it. All right. All of a sudden I'll do that. It's just different things I just do. Writing, for example. Now, when it comes to reading, doing a lot of reading or, loving history and things like that, somewhere down the line, someone in my family, that's what they did. And the thing about it is it will manifest itself at the appointed time, how you're made. How you're made. So what I mean is this. Think of trees, for example. We're getting somewhere, okay? This is for the people who got patience, okay? And have ability to listen, okay? But we're getting somewhere with this. So it's just like, you know how there's certain trees that will not start producing fruit until they reach a certain age, a certain age of maturity, right? Once they reach a certain age, all of a sudden they start producing fruit. Is someone wait a minute, I'm hearing music. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Let me see. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to see. Is that music playing? Yeah, there you go. I found it. I kept hearing some music. Yeah, so there's certain trees that won't produce, fruit until they reach a certain age, right? Well, people are the same way. Once you reach a certain age, you notice how some people, once they reach a certain age, you think, oh, you old, so now it's time for you to retire and go somewhere and sit down. Nah, some of y'all that are in our 50 club and above, this is your best time in your life, because now you're going to start seeing some things, or some of y'all should start seeing some things that are coming out of you that you're sitting up there like, well, dag, why didn't I do it back then? Why wasn't I doing this in my 20s? I could have been doing this in my 30s. Instead of fooling around doing all that stuff, I could have been doing it back then. Why? Because that wasn't the time for you to do it. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's the same way. This is what I'm saying. You look at nature, nature will teach you. So no, it wasn't for you to do these things in your 20s or in your 30s or in your teens. It was for you to be you, to go through the experiences that you experienced, everything that you went through, so that you can be ready at this time to manifest exactly what's inside of you, okay? We don't need the time machine to go back and try to do, because you'll mess something up, screw something up. No, leave it like it is. So this is why this is the best time. If you're finding little desires for you to, man, I've always wanted to write. Now all of a sudden I'm writing again. I'm writing long things. I wanted to, I want to get into photography, or, I want to get into music. I want to do this and that or whatever. Listen, this is the time for you to do. If you feeling that urge, you need to follow that urge. You need to follow it. Okay. Again, long as it's the right thing. I ain't talking about urges to do something crazy. You know what I mean? And not no skydiving and all that foolishness. I mean, you can do that if you want. That's up to you. But you understand what I'm saying. Some of you are of a certain age, and you all of a sudden you want to start building. Maybe you got a desire. I've always had a desire to build houses. And let's say you over 50 years old and you're a woman. Well, honey, you better go to Home Depot and get you a hammer and some equipment, and get on some YouTube and take advantage of some of them free courses that they teach. And you better get to it, because again, that's in you. That's something that is in you that has been passed down, and now it's time for that to come forth. You understand what I'm saying? So it works both ways. So there's plenty of great things that are waiting to manifest and come forth, right? But there's also things that you got to say, we drawing the line here. Nope, I don't. My great uncle may have been my uncle's uncle or whatever. He may have been a child abuser, but that ain't happening here. That ain't happening. My grandmother or whatever, she may have talked down to her children, but that ain't happening here. That ain't happening here. All right. In this family here, we're going to start drawing the lines. Do you understand what I'm saying? We're not going to tolerate the foolishness. We ain't tolerating that stuff. No way. They may have been bad with money, but we ain't going to be bad with money here. You understand what I'm saying? So you do have the power right now to draw the lines on some things, to say, no, we ain't going to allow the bad stuff to come. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't do that, do they? So we look at different examples here. When we look at the landscape of what we call, we'll just say black people. Okay. For this discussion, I'm going to say black folks. Who does that include? Okay. So I'll be very clear. Anyone that has skin tone like me. Okay. For the most part. All right. So we'll just stick with that. All right. So I don't care where you are, what country you are. We're just saying black folks. Okay. So when you look at survey the condition of our people, what you're seeing right now is a sum total of the things that we have allowed to pass through versus the things we said, no, we ain't going to invest in that. And those things go both ways. Sometimes we allow good things to pass through. Sometimes we allow bad things to pass through. Sometimes we will say, no, we ain't investing in that to good things, or we'll say, no, we're not investing in that to things that aren't good. And so what you're seeing today is not a result of slavery. Uh-oh. Did I just say that? Did I just say that? Yes, I did. I did say that. What you are seeing today is primarily not a result of slavery. Slavery did do a number to us. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. But let me add something to you, because I want you to start seeing just how great you have been created to be. You think I'm talking crazy here? All right, listen. There are many examples. Okay, let's do this really basic, okay? How many times have you if you have a backyard or a front yard or whatever, and you went out and you cleared out all the weeds? You're like, man, I'm going to clear out all these weeds. I got to clear out all these weeds. I'm done with them, because I just want to have my beautiful grass out there that's just sitting out there. I just want grass. I don't want no weeds. I'm just going to cut them all down, right? So you cut down all the weeds. You get rid of them. Some cases, you uproot them. You pull them up by the root, right? Now, what then happens, give it a few months, if you're not if you're not staying on top of that? The weeds come back, don't they? Somehow, some way, they find a way to grow right back, don't they? Did you ever see the weeds say, well, we ain't going to go back and grow on that lawn because of, what he did to us 400 weeks ago, whatever. Last year, he sprayed all that poison. And so now we'll never grow to be our full potential as weeds. Oh, Lord, we'll never be a weed again. I'll never be the greatness of a weed again because, oh, Lord, they pulled us up. No, they don't say that. They said, okay, you did that. Next time I go around, when we grow, I'm bringing all my cousins, okay? And next thing you know, you turn your head, you turn back, and what happens? All them weeds, they came right back and then some, don't they? Now, I'm just talking weeds here. So if the weeds can come back like that, how much more can black folks come? Huh? So yes, we're not going to say slavery didn't have any impact. It did. Right? I'm not sitting up here saying that, slavery wasn't nothing. No. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that all of those things that were passed down from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next, it's in you. It's in you. This is why, again, talking about genetic memory here, this is why we are so adamant. We told people this. We said, listen, if you want to understand, if you want to know who you are, you start at home. You don't look anywhere else. You start at home. What are the things you do that's just what they say is innate? In other words, you don't even have to think about it. We have done videos. Where we've talked about black people again, and the things we do, we don't even think about it. Starting, going from facial expressions, our preferences and the things we eat, how we dance, the type of music we do, enjoy. And we don't even think about it. It's just innate. It's just something inside of us, right? Nobody had to teach us. We just got it. And what we did was we looked at that. We made a list of that. See, we try to be very detailed here. So we made a list of all of these different things, and then we put it side by side to Africa. And more often than not, it connected to things that you saw in Africa and nowhere else. So, and someone may say, well, again, some of y'all got Africa-itis now, but it is what it is. That's part of you. Okay. You can't take a Scotsman and look at what they do that's innate and try to compare it to Africa. You ain't gonna be too many comparisons. I'm talking like, from the sucking of the teeth and how we roll our eyes and do our roll on. That's all. It ties to the continent. It does. And this is exactly why. So so if you want to understand and know where you come from, it starts with that. Learning to listen, like our sister Valerie says, listen to your body. Learning to listen to the things you just do without even thinking. That's genetic memory. Okay. So it's like, so this is why. So it's very simple. And understanding that it's not complex. You don't have to pay a course to find out what your true roots really are and all that stuff. You ain't got to do that. You need to sit down, pay attention, listen, watch, friends with your family, your intermediate family, watch your own stuff, take notes of the different things and then do comparison. And when you do that, you'll realize that, oh, well, where did I learn that from? And this is why our people that are out here, who are out here pretending that they're Jewish people, you look stupid, okay? Y'all look stupid up here talking about Khan. I'm sitting there, man, I see these big old dusty men talking about, yeah, man, Khan, bruh, Khan. We can't even say Khan. We got to add the bruh. The Africa still come back. It's like, bruh, you got, yeah, Khan, bruh. Huh? Khan, bruh. Yeah, Khan. In case y'all don't know, Khan, K-A-N, in Hebrew, that means yes. Or some of y'all that say, listen, I love y'all, right? Most of y'all, okay? But I'm saying it's not out of hate. I'm saying it's because I hope this is be the one place that you can come and you hear somebody that's just going to be straight up, okay? So if you want to say shalom, that's up to you. I don't roll my eyes at that. I don't look down on people that say that. That's on you all day and all night, okay? I treat you with dignity and respect, until you give me a reason not to. I don't care. I really don't. But your pappy and your mammy didn't say your mammy, no. But you didn't grow up saying that. That was something that you learned later. And to watch some of our people trying to repeat these things as if this is really who I am. It's not. You have nothing at all that you can tangibly show that down your lineage, starting from your house, going all the way back, ain't nobody was up there talking about Khan. And talking about we gonna have a family get together with the whole mishpachah, honey. We all gonna get. Nobody was saying that in your family. Let's just keep it real. And so you're just trying to build a bear culture. You're trying to piece these things together because you're trying to be something that you're not. It's just you're not that. Then you got the other people that says that we're the Native Americans or whatever. And then you start asking some basic questions. Okay, tell me some of the cultural practices and of things that Native Americans do that you were doing in your own family. And then people start getting mad. I don't understand that. I'm asking basic questions. It's amazing how, I tell you, these last couple of weeks, ever since I've been doing those cartoons, people have been getting mad. How you going to get mad at cartoons? But anyway, asking basic questions like that. Okay, tell me some of the foods, the dances and stuff like that you were doing that directly tied to these particular tribes that you say you're part of. They can't name one. Not one. They'll find a book that kind of, sort of talks about it in general terms. They'll show you a little line in an article somewhere. But as far as their body being the giving the ultimate testimony, they can't point to anything at all. They can't. There's no example that they can point to other than grandma told me. And so this is why we end up looking kind of crazy and stupid when we're trying to pretend to be something that we're not, because your body, everything about your body, everything about how you are built and constructed, everything that's inside of you is screaming, what is you doing? What is you doing? It's something. But anyway, so there's good practices, there are bad practices. And there are things that, as I said earlier, they get passed down. And when they get passed down, what's happening is the next generation is picking it up. And like I said, the good and the bad, the negative stuff, what religion actually tries to address this. You know what they say? Oh, that's a generational curse, honey. That's just a generational curse. You know, I would say religious folks 9 times out of 10 will talk about generational curses, but they rarely say anything about generational blessings. Isn't that something? It's always something negative, ain't it? It's always the generational curses. That's what that is, honey. But there's also things that you do that you inherit that are good, that are great. You know what I'm saying? I think about my mom, for example. She's very empathetic to people. Very, very, very empathetic for people. All people. Anybody come her way. If a little bird came to our house and said, hey, she would say, come on in. She would try to do a full meal, build a bed for her, give her something to drink. Go buy a car for it if it needed a car. She'd just do all kinds of stuff. And then the bird, if he just went, she went, oh, you all right? You okay? Everything okay? And try to do everything she can to make sure that bird is well taken care of. And I sat and I thought about it. I said, she got that from somebody. I don't know who, but that part of her nature, she got that from somebody in the family, somewhere down the line that got passed down. And so what we have to learn as a people is being able to identify those positive things, those things that are good and great and help build people and bring people together. Those are the things we have to focus on. You know what I mean? Those great things. But the negative stuff, what has happened is that unfortunately, those negative things are really starting to overtake a lot of what we call Black culture. And what do I have here? Because I made sure I wanted to write give you a couple of examples here. Okay, so for example, there's a couple of videos I cannot show you. I kind of wish I could, but I'm not going to get them. They ain't going to flag me. But I was watching, it was on something. It's probably on Twitter or something like that. And I'm watching this video. These people, Black folks, threw a party it was like a 5-6-year-old child. He was a boy. And the theme was the club, y'all. 5-6 years old. It was like a club. I mean, with the dance floor. And they they're like, and then they gave all the little children like little play money. And these little children, again, these are like 5-6-year-old, and the little children, they were like, hey, had their money, and they were just throwing it on, like a video. And then for their drinks, they gave them, red cup, doubled red cup. Yeah, they went there. A double everybody. So you got these 5-6-year-olds, they walking around, and they got their little red cup and all that. And they were like, look at that. Yeah, look at that's my baby. That kind of thing. So these children are coming out because the parent didn't have the fencing, if you will, to say, no, I'm not passing that down to my children. So what's happening now? What's beginning to happen is at a very young age, these children, their minds are already being wired to think that way. Because Caroline Leaf, many of y'all have heard of her. If you haven't, I would strongly encourage you to look her stuff up. But Caroline Leaf, she's a doctor. She specializes in, talking about the brain, specializes in this. Very, very smart woman. Again, her name is Caroline Leaf. And she talks about how habits, things that we do, how they stay permanently wired in our brains. Like once you do something out of habit over and over again, how it like permanently wires your brain a certain way to where you always will fall into that same cycle over and over again. Now, is there a way to fix it? Absolutely. But she was talking about how biologically in your brain, it's literally almost like things are getting soldered in place. And it's always, you ever wonder how some people, it's just like they just do the same thing over and over again because it's literally wired in their head to act that way. And they've been surrounded by people who also act that way. You understand? And so it was another video I saw. Again, you got little girls, little boys out here. You know, they give them little guns and let them act like gangsters and all this other stuff. And then you would think the parents, and then, you know, of course, I think I was talking about this the other day, the graduations, you know, the examples about the graduations where the parents, you know, the school told the parents and say, hey, listen, you get your degree, you get your diploma, go sit down. That's all we want you to do. Please don't be dancing and jigging and all that stuff. Just go sit down, okay? Because, you know, we're trying to keep a certain decorum here or whatever. But of course, they didn't, you know, there are many cases where that didn't happen. And there's plenty of video on here where you see that. I mean, as soon as these students get their stuff, they out there dancing and twerking and all this stuff. And then you look in the bleachers and you're expecting the parents to say, you better sit down, you know. But what's the parents doing? You know, and just going along with it. And then as soon as somebody stands up and says, no, you need, see what you trying to do. These children done worked all this year and then you gonna and it's like, no, it's not about that. It's a certain level of decorum that we're trying to have. Now, if you want to dance and do all that stuff, then you do that at home. But we trying to do what we need to do here and get out. That's all we're trying to do. Can we just do that? That's all we're trying to do. But when you have parents that aren't there to draw the line and say, no, stop the foolishness, what happens? Then you wonder why the children turn out the way they are. Why? And what's happening up here? It's up here in the mind. It's already wired for them to act this way because the parents were right there soldering that stuff together with their own actions and how they were conducting themselves in the house with the children. I can't tell you how many times I've seen some crazy stuff like on social media, and I just immediately, like many of you, jump in the comments, and I'm just hoping to see somebody come up and say, you know what, that's stupid, y'all. We got to do better than that. The 1 or 2 people that actually say something, it's like 999% of the other people are like, what you talking about? It's like they don't even, like, it was this other video. Black woman. This is her wedding, right? And they were saying, this is such a beautiful wedding. You know, you should see her dress. It's a beautiful dress. So I was like, all right, let me check it out, whatever. I looked at the dress. That split was all the way up to her waist. And all her behind was showing for the most part. All her behind was showing. Like she was like wearing like if it wasn't a thong, it was almost a thong. And then her breasts all hanging out and all this other stuff. This is her wedding dress. And again, I'm sitting up here like, what? And so I said, again, let me go into the comment section. Let me see. Hopefully, please, somebody be the voice of reason up in here. And there may be 1 or 2 people that say something. They're like, see, you just are hating. You just hate. And my point I'm bringing that up is what I'm noticing now is almost like it's like not even. It's like what they like some people say is second nature. It's almost innate to defend it now. You understand what I'm saying? Not so much to speak out against it and say, no. Like if we were to get into a time capsule or a time machine, go backwards in time, and someone was walking down an aisle dressed like that, you know our people would have been like, honey, what is you doing? We'd be ready to run you out of town. But there's been a digression. It's been going downhill for our people with just society, period. But now what used to be detestable, now all of a sudden it's acceptable. And what does that mean? It means that the genetic memory has been rewritten. The genetic memory that we had established at some point where we're going to have high standards for our men. We're going to have high standards for our women. Now, all of a sudden, we left the room. And so what happens is the next generation comes in. They say, well, if you don't care about it, we don't care about it. And it keeps going down and down and down and down. That's what's happening. And so when I shudder to think now, when I'm seeing these small children now that are doing things that adults, adults shouldn't be doing, but they're doing it anyway. A lot of these children really don't have a chance. I saw this, it was an article I saw the other day too. Oh yeah, someone mentioned the prom dresses. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I saw this the other day. There's an article that came out yesterday, I think. There were 3 nasty teachers. Nasty. These are like, I don't know if this is elementary or junior. I can't remember. These are teachers. Now, this big trend of teachers, having relations with their students, right? It was like 3 teachers. They were texting some of the students and saying, hey, do you want to have a foursome? What? Yes. It was 2. I think it was 2 women. I want to say it was 2 of them asking the students if they want to have a foursome. So a lot of these children don't really have a chance. If they're not getting any kind of boundaries at home, then you send them to school. It's more of the same stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So when the standards aren't written, what happens is when the standards aren't made. In other words, if there's not a firm stance on no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. What happens is when you take that stance, what you're doing is you're wiring the brain literally to have high standards for something. But when you don't do it, it gets passed down literally from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next. That's what happens. And there's a biological thing, like I said, again, that takes place. And she explains it, Dr. Caroline Leaf, she explains it in great detail. And I didn't want to go too much deep into that, but I'm just telling you, you need to look her up herself. She's all on YouTube. She goes in great detail with that and what happens to the brain on that. So I would submit to you that, yes, absolutely. We are right now seeing the genetic memory of our people. Of course, this is happening all over in different cultures, but I'm talking Black folks. The genetic memory of our people are being rewritten. And what's being written now is not something that's going to last too much longer. I'm just being honest. I wanted to bring up now along that lines. Many of y'all have been following. Let me see if I had this right here. Hold on. Let me see if I had something else here before I get into that. Oh, I'll just mention this briefly. There was a gentleman that just put out this video, and he was talking about there's some book that's was out. Was released like in 1970, 71. And is this book called The Negroes and the Jews. All right. It's called The Negroes and the Jews. And in the book, it basically is written by a Jewish woman, I believe. I'll try to find a picture of her. I couldn't find it, but I think I did. But anyway, it's called The Negroes and the Jews. And basically this book, it talks about a lot of it. There are many authors that have written about the relationship between Jews and Black folks, because yes, there are some similarities there, but there's some very stark differences, as we know. But there have been many authors over the years that have written on that topic, and this person is no exception to that. And so there's one little line in this book that is said in this book where it's written that I forgot what it says, but basically, if you read it out of context, you would think that the author is saying that, yes, the Negroes are the Jews, but that's not what was being said. And so what happened was someone on social media posted just that out of context line. All right. They posted in a research group. I actually went into, for those that are in a research group, the video that I posted today, I went through all the details on that. But for the sake of brevity, I'm just being very brief here. And so, so someone on social media was like, yo, guess what? I found this book on social media and they said that it confirms that we're the people, right? So this gentleman that did the video and he looked at the book, he was like, well, if you read on, she's not saying that. She's actually quoting a Hebrew Israelite that's making that claim. But going back to the person that posted this on social media, they were also making the argument that, well, why is the book so expensive? Well, I'm going to tell you, the reason why the book is so expensive is because they're trying to hide the truth from us. Now, how many people have heard people say that? I'm guilty. I've said it in the past. So I stand right in front of the line, okay? But I have said that in the past. But the more I kept looking, I was like, that doesn't make sense. If this was some real history, some real like truth that's earth shattering, that could literally change the topology of just government and the economy and everything, why the heck would they put it on Amazon? That's kind of like the CIA saying, we got all the evidence on who exactly killed JFK. And so what we're going to do, we're going to put it in a book and we're going to put it on Amazon. But here's the little trick. We're going to jack up the price so nobody will be able to afford it. Come on, man. They're not putting nothing on Amazon. If it's something that secret and that's earth shattering, they are not going to put it on Amazon. You won't even know about it. But this is the logic that our people constantly fall for over and over again. So long story short, they drove the price of the book, which was, like I said, it was just a run of the mill, book, that little research book that she did. It looks kind of like a research paper that she just decided to make it into a book that would cost really nothing. You know how much this book is now? The last, in the video, it's over $2,000. $2,000. You want to know why the book now has increased? It went from like 800. It was like I said, it was extremely low. It's like a run of the mill 1970s book on a topic that, I mean, it ain't really no depth to it. It's just a regular book, right? But this book that's like run of the mill, whatever, these Negroes ran the price of that book from whatever it was, not a nominal price, to over $2,000. And then want to come back around and say it's a conspiracy because they're trying to hide something from us, when they're the ones that are actually running the price up. If I'm selling that book and I see a bunch of people chattering about the book that they say they really want it, well, guess what? I'm going to jack up the price too. I'm just saying. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, I ain't going to do that, but you know what I mean? But that's what you're seeing happening now. And they want to come back and say that my point in bringing this up is this, is that by doing these kind of things where we don't stop and say, you know what, let's stop for a second before we start jumping in and making these broad brush conclusions. Let's make sure we do a little bit of research and find out who wrote this book. Let's get the whole context of everything before we start jumping into some conclusions. But because there are many of our people who have not had the training from home on how to do that basic research or to ask basic questions, we fall into this ditch over and over again and end up enriching those that want to take advantage of you. We do this all the time. It's like a circle. Remember what I was saying earlier. It's like literally you just fall into this trap where you're just doing the same thing over and over again, right? It has to be broken. And you got to ask yourself, are you the one to break that cycle? This is why, on this platform, we do have the research group, because it's my little tiny way of trying to get people to take research very seriously, and no, you don't have to be degreed up to do it. You just have to have the willingness to go beyond just someone showing you a little snippet of a book. I got there's people, y'all know, it'd be people out here talking about, I paid $3,000 for this book, and they have the secrets and they tell us exactly what it is. See, they're trying to hide it from you. That's what it is. They're trying to hide the truth from you. And then you get the book. And what was so funny is the guy that did this video, he was like, I got the book right here. I went to the library and got it for free. But don't tell the black folks that. Because we think it's something when we paid a whole band for a book. And don't even read the whole. So again, when you're not taught these things, what happens is you're literally rewiring your brain so that the next generation that comes behind you, they won't read things. The reason why for some of you, it is very difficult for doing just a little bit of research is because you didn't have an example in your own home. And then going back beyond that, you didn't have somebody that didn't want to read. They didn't see the value in that. Or maybe for whatever reason, they couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Because they're working a lot. Maybe that's the reason. Who knows? But either way, those practices help put together how you think, not just for you, but for your future generations. This is why it's so important for us as a people to make sure we're just going all out to break those things, those habits. You know what I'm saying? So that we can break up new ground so that the future generations, they can, maybe a few generations past us, you'll have your great-great-grandchild. They'll be like, you know what? I always watched Daddy always do. And I always had a feeling to grow plants or something like that. Or I always wanted to cook or something. Where'd that come from? I don't know. It came from you. Because you took the stance. You know what I mean? It's on you to do it. Here's another thing to look at, another example, and then I think we're gonna be done here. This week on the on our podcast, if you're not subscribed to the podcast, the Digital Plantation Podcast, make sure you do. This one was a really good one, I think it was. Anyway, we talked about quite a few things on there. But one of the topics we talked about was the WNBA. This is just another example of everything I've been talking about here. In the WNBA, as you know, there's this ongoing thing that's been going on as far as Caitlin Carter. Now, regardless of what your opinions are about Caitlin and all of that, it makes no difference here in this conversation, okay? Because what I was talking about in that piece that I did on the podcast, I said we're taking all the personality pieces out of it, and we're going to look at this thing strictly as business. That's it. And what we basically talked about was, the very apparent jealousy, and understandably so, that you see happening in the WNBA now. And, because of what Caitlin, not so much that she's this awesome player and that nobody can play at her level. Nobody's saying that, okay? The WNBA is full of awesome players that have been there for a very long time, and they've been there long before she even showed up on the scene. So I'm not fanboying anybody, okay? So I want you to be very clear before you write something, you say something. Please hear me all the way out. Nobody's saying this. I was strictly looking at this from a business perspective, and that's it. And what I mean by that, because there are different opportunities, and the latest one was her not being added to the Olympic, the women's Olympic team. And I agree 100% with like what Stephen A was saying, but and then others were saying this as well. It's not that, she needs to be on the team so that they can win. That's not it at all. It was simply saying, listen, the WNBA for years have been crying about not getting the attention that they believe that they deserve comparing themselves to the NBA. So, and they just cry, just been making a big deal about it. Now you have somebody that's coming down the pike who actually has star power, right? And I'll explain as to the whys behind that. Take advantage of that, plug her in wherever you need to plug her in. That's what it's really about. If you're trying to uplift this league, you know what I'm saying? But they chose not to do that. And so you had different ones who are really into sports, not like me, because I'm not really into sports like that, nor do I care. But I do like looking at the business aspect of things. And especially if I see someone doing a good business strategy, I take note of that. If I see them doing a bad business strategy, I also take note of that too. And so there's certain things I've seen them do. That's not a good strategy. I'm not talking about, oh, you got to be gentle with her in doing gameplay. No. Nobody's saying that either. So just get that completely off the table. Nobody's saying that at all. But it's just, there are certain markers that I think the league has really flubbed up on, because of certain things. Okay. And mainly because of what she looks like. That's really what it comes down to. But there's a much deeper issue here. There's a much deeper issue. And I don't know. And I talked about this. I talked about this on a podcast, and I haven't heard too many people. Well, I haven't heard anybody say this, but I'm going to share it with you. And then I'm going to talk about how this relates to our topic for this evening. Okay. This is probably my final thing that I'm going to talk about. All right. The final thing. And I think there's one little other example. Okay. So follow me. Okay. So one of the reasons I was saying in the podcast, I said the reason why the WNBA, I went into the whole history of the NBA and the different changes it went through and all this to get to where it is today, right? NBA didn't start off as a black team, or a black league. It was a white league. Black folks in that, when the NBA, when basketball was first becoming a thing, black people were more into baseball. They weren't into basketball. But then over the years, it became a thing. They had to break race barriers and all that stuff. Okay, so I went through all of that, right? But then, so for the WNBA is basically building on top of all of that. Now, the WNBA, so when people look at sports, right, when they typically are looking at sports like football or basketball in particular, I would say to a certain extent soccer, but definitely sports like football and basketball. Those sports, the baseline that they created as far as getting people involved and excited about it is they created the ideal player all these years. And the ideal player was a strong male, doing all the things that males do, the slam dunking and all that other stuff, all the things, the aggressiveness, we love seeing that. And so that's all people, when they look at these sports, that's what sports like basketball and football, that's what they're looking for, that aggressiveness and all of that stuff. Right. So then when the female versions of these, not so much football, but basketball in particular, when basketball came into the picture where they said, okay, we're going to do a female league. I think they actually started one a long time ago, and I don't think it took off too well. It was like a trial run, but I don't think it took off. But then they did it again, and this time it stuck. So it's doing well. For the longest time, it just wasn't. Only in the last few years, the WNBA has actually been going on an upswing, right? And I would say that's part of that is due to the fact of attitudes are starting to change, right? Because you've always had some very good players out there, when it comes to women's basketball. Now, here's the thing. Who's the dominant audience with these sports? The dominant audience in these sports are mainly going to be white people. And when I say the dominant audience, I'm talking ticket sales. I'm also talking, season passes or whatever. Like when it comes to, if I don't know if the cable companies, if they offer season passes for WNBA, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I'm talking those that really drop the money on a seasonal basis for those games. Most cases, they're going to be white people. Okay. Most of the time, they're going to be white people. White people do not want to see a league full of black women that are dykes and butches. Okay. I'm just telling you totally on. They have no interest in seeing that. And some people may be like, oh my God. No, they don't. Let's be honest. And I have a whole lot of examples to give you. Okay. White people don't want, they make that extremely clear. They don't want to see that. So they're not going to invest in that. The only reason why all of a sudden now all of a sudden Caitlyn comes into the picture and now all of a sudden white people are engaged into it. Why? It's because they actually see, one, someone that looks like them that's pretty good, and B, she ain't no dyke. I'm just talking. You're going to get what you get when you come here. Okay? I'm just telling you. They're not if she was a dyke, they would not have any interest. Trust me. And no, they wouldn't be interested in that. Now, that's not to say that white people don't engage, aren't in the LGBT thing. Please, they're in that. But it's the mindset of people who watch sports. When they watch sports, there's already a custom that they have is they're already been programmed. Okay, when I watch sports, if I want to watch aggressive sports, I want to see this. This is what I want to see on the court. I don't want to see a bunch of black women who are basically, acting and looking like men. Okay. And they're not going to invest in that. Okay. Now, so some of y'all, you may think that I sound crazy right now. You may think, well, wait a minute, I got something to say. But trust and know, I have someone here. This is an article that was written about 7 years ago, who can personally attest to a lot of what I'm saying right now. And let me bring that article up on the screen here, and I'm gonna show you. I remember this lady here, Candace Wiggins. And we're going to read this article here. Candace Wiggins, she said, I was bullied for being straight in 98% gay WNBA. All right. And then I'm just going to jump into the article here. Let's go into it. It says Candace Wiggins, the former Stanford University basketball star who retired from professional basketball last year, this was written back in 2018, claimed that she was targeted for harassment during the 8-year WNBA career because she was heterosexual. Wiggins, who turned 30 last week, described the very, very harmful culture of the WNBA in an interview with the San Diego Union Tribune published on Monday. It wasn't like my dreams came true in the WNBA. It was quite the opposite, says Wiggins, who announced her retirement last March while considering a contract extension from the New York Liberty. I wanted to play 2 more seasons of the WNBA, but the experience didn't lend itself to my mental state. It was a depressing state in the WNBA. It's not watched. Our value is diminished. It can be quite hard. I didn't like the culture inside the WNBA, and without revealing too much, it was toxic for me. My spirit was being broken. That's what she's saying here. Wiggins, a 4-time All-American guard who graduated from as Stanford's all-time leading scorer, was chosen by the Minnesota Lynx with the number 3 pick in the 2008 draft. She averaged about 15.7 points as a rookie, capturing 6 Women of the Year honors and a 13.1 points during her sophomore campaign. She suffered a season-ending torn Achilles tendon early in 2010 season and was limited to a deep reserve role in helping the Lynx to the club's first ever championship in 2011. But injuries weren't the only part of the problem. I want you to pay attention to this for the Southern California native who described her difficulties assimilating to the league. that she says consists predominantly of gay women. This is her. Me being heterosexual and straight and being vocal in my identity as a straight woman was huge, Wiggins told the Union Tribune. I would say 98% of the women in the WNBA are gay women. It was a conformist type of place. There was a whole different set of rules they, the other players, could apply. There was a lot of jealousy and competition. Oh, y'all didn't even read that. You didn't even hear what I just said. She said there was a lot of jealousy and competition, and we're all fighting for crumbs, Wiggins added. The way I looked and the way I played, those things contributed to the tension. People were deliberately trying to hurt me all the time. I had never been called the B word so many times in my life than I was in my rookie season. Well, gee, that sounds kind of familiar to someone else we know this season, don't it? I told you, that's why I said you may get caught up in the racial angle. I'm not. I'm just looking at the raw facts here. Let me read that part again. People were deliberately trying to hurt me all the time. I had never been called the B word so many times in my life than I was in my rookie season. I had never been thrown to the ground. That sounds familiar. So much. The message was, we want you to know we don't like you. It comes to a point where you get compared so much to the men, you come to mirror the men, she said. So many people think you have to look like a man, play like a man to get respect. I was the opposite. I was proud to be a woman, and it didn't fit well in that culture. I wonder why this got memory hold. I wonder why nobody brought this article up. I wonder why. Wiggins, who ended her career with one season stints with the Tulsa Shock, Los Angeles Sparks, and the Liberty, also played on pro teams in Spain, Turkey, Israel, and Greece, where she helped Sony, for the first Euro Cup Women's Championship in 2010. Her positive experiences abroad cast her WNBA experience into a particularly harsh light. Nobody cares about the WNBA, Wiggins says. Viewership is minimal. Ticket sales are very low. They give away tickets and people don't come to the game. Wiggins, who said she is penning a memoir. Okay, she talked about that, right? She's going to pen a book. I tried to look for it. I was like, I'll buy it right now. Shoot. Okay, and I'll just skip to the last one. She said, I try to be really sensitive. I'm not trying to crush anyone's dreams or aspirations or the dreams of the WNBA. I want things to be great, but at the same time, it's important for me to be honest in my reflections. Yeah, this was written back in 2018. They said 7 years, 2017, sorry, 2017. And you could take a screenshot of that. Maybe you can look it up or whatever. I remember when she came out with this. When I tell you that women went in on her, they went in on her. They barbecued her behind over this. Because she was telling her truth. So like I said again, the audience that these professional teams target when they do their live games, they're targeting the people who got the money to pay all this crazy amount of money to go to an NFL game. It's a ridiculous amount of money to get an NFL ticket. Same thing with NBA. Now, WNBA, you can still get in right now, but WNBA, like I said, has been on an upswing for the past few years. But they still got a long ways to go. But none of the people, the sports commentators or whatever that I heard on this topic, nobody touched this topic. Nobody touched this. But it's true. And like I said, the demographic that they are trying to attract is the demographic that has the money. And who has the money to do this kind of stuff, to watch this kind of stuff? It's white people. And they don't want to see that. At the end of the day, you're right, Team Truth. Exactly. At the end of the day, it's a plantation. These leagues were designed for the entertainment of the people who got the money to watch it like that. It wasn't you, black folks. Your position is to be on the court playing or being at the stand selling food. That's it. That's just raw truth. That's the position that's assigned for you. But these leagues, at the end of the day, they're doing everything they're doing is because they want to get they're targeting the people who got the money. That's NBA, that's NFL, that's NHL, that's whomever. They trying to get the people who's willing to pay that kind of money. And the people who are willing to pay that kind of money, white people will show up for the NFL, they'll show up for NBA, they'll drop their money like it's nobody's business. And trust, I mean, if you've ever been like high school women's basketball, they'll show up for that too. But it depends on what high schools though. All right, for real. So they're not going to show up for that. And that's what Caitlyn, when she came into the picture, she didn't represent that. And then, of course, white people, they noticed the fact that, wow, she's a #1 draft pick and she's white. Oh, shoot, let me look at that. So she's a curiosity. And so that's why they're all in on her right now. Okay. So, but anyway, now why am I bringing this up? Because like I said, again, this does tie into our conversation here. I'm bringing this up because in this example, these people, in this case, we're talking white people here, they have a standard that they established. There's certain things they don't want to see that. So they establish a standard there. And it is reflected in their ticket sales. Let me take you to this page right here. So when you go to, okay, so this is an organization, I'll tell you just in a moment who this is. So they have, when you look at what their interests are, again, we're talking about white people in sports, okay? White people who have white people in sports. They have a track record that they have established on the things that they will tolerate, the things that they will invest in versus the things they will not invest in. Again, this is the marketing side of me coming out now, all right? Because like I said, all the other stuff I don't care about. So you gotta understand who your target audience is. So when it comes to the world of sports, especially when you get into professional sports, all of that is really for the people who got the money at the end of the day. And the people who got the money, they want to see men play in men's sports. They want to see women playing women's sports. And the women that they see on the court or on the field, they want to see women who are feminine and are women. That's what they want to see. They don't want to see butchers and dykes. They don't want to see that. And that's why you will never see them invest in anything like that. This right here, what you see on your screen, this is an organization. Now, many of you have heard of, or you've seen, I would say all of you. I mean, it's got to be all of y'all. You've seen this trend of now this whole transgender thing where you got men who were suckers in their own men league, but then all of a sudden they said, hey, I'm gonna put a wig on and now I'm a woman. And so people are getting pissed about that. And so what I've noticed is the people that are getting pissed about this, in most cases, they're white people. Because they're saying, wait a minute, now how you gonna come into this space here? My baby has been working hard for all of this, all her life. And now all of a sudden you can just come in and you think you can just come in and take this all away from her? Oh, heck no. So I'm watching these white people. They are so serious about this. They're formulating their own organizations to stand out against this stuff and say, no, we are drawing the line on this and we're not going to tolerate this mess. There's I think University of Pennsylvania, they have a swimmer there. He was on their team, and both the team and the parents stood side by side and said, nah, we ain't doing this. We ain't doing this. And they pushed hard. They took that thing to court. They said, we are not doing this. They drew the line here. So on this page here, there's 578. The thing with these people, like I said, I try to learn from everybody. These people, not only did they form an organization, this is just one organization. Not only did they come together and formulate an organization to draw a line on this stuff, but they're tracking all the instances that are out there where this is happening. And they're taking notes so that when they take these people to court, they got all the receipts. Look at this. 578 plus male victories in female sports. They're keeping all the receipts here. And they're keeping all the names of all these people that are claiming to be something that they're not. Look at this. And they're drawing the line. They're saying, no, in our culture, we don't tolerate this stuff. We want a clear definition when it comes to men and women, when it comes to sports. We don't want any of this middle ground stuff. We don't do that. Now, let me show you this. All right. This is just one of many examples. So my question to you is, like I said, again, I've seen a number of white people getting together on this particular topic, getting organized, getting structured, and drawing a clear line of distinction and saying, no, this is not going to be us. This is not going to be something that we're going to allow to be a genetic memory in our people. It's not going to happen. Now, let me ask you, how many black organizations do you know have done this? How many? Count them. And while you're doing this, let me play for you this video here. And this is many examples I've seen of this, but take a listen.
GMA exclusive, 2 transgender high school runners, well, they're kicking up dust in Connecticut, taking the top spots at the state girls championship, leaving parents wondering if they have an unfair advantage. Lindsay Davis is here, and you sat down with the track star to talk all about this.
That's right, Michael. We're talking about a subject that's so sensitive that Andrea and Terry, who you're about to meet, felt when it was time to tell their parents that they're transgender, they each revealed it by text, and now they have gone public with it, and they're facing opposition from people who say, even though you may feel like a girl, you need to compete against the boys. Terry Miller and Andrea Yearwood dominating the competition at the Girls Track and Field Championships in Connecticut earlier this month, coming in first and second place respectively. And while it was a state race, their wins are making national headlines, not because of what they did, but because of who they are, 2 transgender girls. When was the first time that either of you found any kind of opposition to you participating on the girls' team?
I was expecting it, so every day I'll go home, search up Track and Field High School, Terry Miller.
Because you wanted to know what people were saying?
Yeah.
Some of those comments were harsh. Critics complaining that Andrea and Terry both have an unfair advantage since they were born boys. At what point do you decide, actually, it's more appropriate for me to be on the girls' team and competing with other girls?
I decided that the summer before 9th grade.
They've both started hormone therapy and say that for the most part they've been welcomed by friends, family, coaches, and administrators with open arms. But there is some backlash from parents and students. 2 petitions were even started in an attempt to change the current rule of the state's governing body of interscholastic sports. The rule states that students are entitled to participate on a team based on their gender identity, how they identify.
The girls athletes are at the physical disadvantage compared to the transgender female.
Bianca Stanescu started one of those petitions.
And stop there. Let me stop there. Now, go back to what she said earlier, and the lady that's narrating this thing, the main reporter. She said that the friends and family are welcoming. They're okay with it. They said they're okay. I'm okay if my baby wants to now all of a sudden want to compete as a woman. I'm okay with that. I don't see any problem with that. But they said the pushback they're getting is from the other parents, and they went right to this lady here. What she look like to you? They're not interested in that. And they have drawn a line of demarcation. They said, no, sir, we're not going to accept that, period. We don't go with that. So we don't want to invest in that. You understand what I'm saying? So they've spoken on that. So my question again, when I go back and I look at black folks, I'm asking, where is our line of demarcation when it comes to this topic? See, because that line has long been destroyed in the churches and black churches. They all on the choir, they're preaching, they're behind the choir, yeah, and they're in the choir, they're all over the place, and we okay with it. They're in the praise team. They are entertainers. They're our favorite girlfriend amongst girlfriends. Our culture has, for the most part, has really blown open the doors and have allowed this thing just to come on in like this. This is why in all these movies, and it's really interesting, anytime they introduce a quote unquote gay couple, particularly if it's a woman, two women, you notice it's always a black woman and a white woman. It's always, that's like standard. It's always a black woman and a white woman. And then they do pretty much the same thing when it's two guys. It's usually a black, not an Indian, not somebody else, but it's always a black guy. It's like they're telling our people, hey, listen, write this into your genetic code or write this into your genetic memory. Yes, you're supposed to be this. You're supposed to be the welcoming people on this topic, because they understand what it's like to be rejected and all that. So these people, I can spend hours and go through outline and show you in detail how these people manipulated black preachers, black leaders, black organizations into pushing this narrative. And so now the genetic memory is being rewritten to where now we're okay with it. And like I said, two men, you can't grow a nation with two men, nor can you do it with two women. You can't, you won't survive. And if that's your choice, if that's what you want to do, I don't hate you. I don't hate people that if they want to choose to live that way. If that's you, that's you. But I also understand the reality of it is you can't grow a nation with that. You can't. And it's more prone to real physical damage. When I tell you I've gone through this topic for years, and I've gone through it in great detail. I'm not saying I'm some expert in it, but I'm a person, like I said, I don't hold back on any of this stuff. I talk about the diseases. I talk about the very the acts that they're limited to because you're too. I've gone through all of that and then some. There was someone that writes for a Washington D.C. Newspaper. I debated openly. It was going back some years ago on this topic, and there was nothing she could do. There was nothing she could say on this. Nothing. But there's no organization when it comes to where is the standard around when it comes to our people on this topic. How is it that they can have a whole organization that outlines all these instances where their sport is being quote unquote taken away from them? But when it comes to us, girl, he was slinging that hair. That's all I know. What I'm trying to tell you is this. If we don't take a stand, if we don't start drawing lines, this is how someone or people who are invested in preserving their culture, this is what they do. This is exactly what they do. Let me give you one more thing here. One more thing, and then I am completely out here. I'm completely done, okay? But I'm giving you a lot of examples here, all right? So that you can know exactly what I'm talking about here. It's right here. Okay, good. I found it. All right, let's get this here. All right. Now, again, I gotta walk carefully in this when we talk about this top. When we talking about the jab, right? I gotta walk carefully here, but I'm going to tell it like it is anyway. All right. So you remember what we've been talking. I think the last video we were talking about holding people accountable. Here you have this system, and I'm talking very general now, who's pushing a solution for something that they said that if you don't go with our solution, basically it's going to end up bad for you, right? This is what they were saying. And so anyway, the Telegram, let me get that article up here. Let me get this article. Let me see if I can find this article. Oh, here it go. Good. Oh, here it is. Okay. Maybe popping up all over the place. I'm talking about my browser situation. Okay, hold on. Where are you? Hold on, y'all. Almost finished here, y'all. Thank you for hanging in there with me. Appreciate it. Okay. All right, it goes here. All right, so I'll go here. All right, so let me go back here. So, yeah, if you don't take you don't get the jab, you don't get this or whatever, then this is what's going to happen to you. Oh, my goodness, right? And it's going to save your life and all that, right? All right, so just as a flashback, and for those that are in our Threema group, I've been on it. I've been posting all of these different individuals that look like us that are no longer here. They're gone. They're gone. They're dead. They're gone. Or they're severely injured. And I was sitting up here, you saw me in my video, the video I did. I said, I'm just puzzled at a lot of these people seem like they don't care. You want to talk about genocide? It's happening now. And so anyway, all those preachers in that video I did, I talked about all these preachers that got up here and was talking about, if you don't get this, then Jesus ain't going to be happy with you and all that foolishness, right? And so this is the Atlanta University, I would say the AU Center for those who live there locally. That's Morehouse, that's Spelman, that's Clark. And I know I'm missing Morris Brown. Is Morris Brown still around? I don't know if it's around now. But anyway, that's all that group of black colleges that are in that area down in Atlanta. And so basically when the thing came out, they complied like with everybody else. You got this is a brain trust, okay? All these black colleges, Morehouse and Spelman. Well, if anybody you think is going to look at all the details in the fine print, it's going to be a Morehouse man. And definitely those Spelman women, they're going to be on top of it, right? Right? Well, that didn't happen. So let me play some of these. I'm just going to play a couple of these clips here, and I'm going to show you how they handled it. It's probably going to be an ad here. Okay, here we go.
And I'm ready to return to Clark Atlanta University this fall semester. Are you ready?
I've been vaccinated and I'm ready to return to Spelman College for the fall semester. Are you ready?
I've been vaccinated and I'm ready to return to Morehouse College for the fall semester. Are you ready?
I've been vaccinated and I'm ready to return to Morehouse School of Medicine for the fall semester. Are you ready? For the safety and well-being of our campus communities,
the institutions of the Atlanta University Center Consortium,
and the AUC Robert Woodruff Library require that all students, faculty, and staff
be vaccinated before returning to campus for the fall academic school year.
We're ready. Are you?
Ain't just going along with the script, literally reading the script. And here's W. Kamau Bell, and let's look at this one here.
Hello, Black America, and people who pay attention to what Black folks are doing. My name's W. Kamau Bell. There's good news out there. There's a COVID-19 vaccine. Yay! But the bad news is, as Black folks, it's hard to trust what's going on. So what do? Well, we turn to people we can trust. Black folks. But not just your uncle at the cookout. No. Actually, not him at all. I'm talking about Black scientists, Black doctors, and Black nurses. Okay, first question. The vaccine happened fast, like super fast, like Usain Bolt headed to the bathroom fast. Is that something we should be concerned about?
having an emergency authorization for these medications was critical, but that doesn't mean any steps were cut.
Anything where money could be traded off for time, that was happening. Like, money was no object.
They still have all of the rigor that they use for approving any vaccine. So we can feel confident that the science is still there.
The messenger RNA technology has been in development for the last 12 years. So even though you hear this thing about warp speed, believe me, that was not warp speed.
And I think the data is real. It suggests it's highly effective.
About a week or so after your second dose, the people who had gotten the placebo or who didn't get the true vaccine, their rates of coronavirus continued to climb, whereas the people who had gotten the vaccine, it just flattened out.
And what about side effects?
Soreness from the injection site.
I had a little bit of arm soreness.
Arm sore? Is that a side effect? My arm's sore right now.
The common things, soreness at the injection site, headache, fever, maybe a swollen lymph nodes.
The second dose is when there's more common, those systemic side effects.
Is this like one of those pharmaceutical commercials where at the end they talk real fast about the side effects and it's like, you're also gonna get hair from your eyeballs and vampirism?
My sister texted me the second day after I got the first vaccine, and I remember she was like, "Are you a zombie yet?" And we just laughed, like, "No, I'm not."
So the big answer is no. And the reason being is we are not injecting the virus into your body. The vaccine is training your body.
It is making those antibodies to fight that disease. So I view it as a positive thing.
So here's a question from everybody's uncle, and since I'm an uncle, it's a question from me too. Are the drug companies just trying to get rich off this?
The drug companies will certainly get rich.
Oh, drug companies are always trying to get rich, but that's not the point, right?
Whoa. You see, the white coat told you, oh, they're always trying to get rich, but that's not the point. Whoa, hold on for a second here. Not to say getting rich isn't a bad thing, but stop a freaking minute here for a second. Do you know Pfizer, how many lawsuits they have that are pending on other stuff? Oh, they trying to get rich, but hey, that don't matter. Apparently it does in the court of law. Apparently it does. And it's troublesome. And anybody bringing that up, you have a right to bring that up. But again, it had to be framed within emotion. It had to be framed within religion. It had to be framed with it being, it is no big thing and all that. Hold on for a second. Oh, they always trying to get rich, honey, but they, but that's beside the point. That ain't no beside the point. If they got a record of going in and out the court system, I think I did a post or something, in and out the court system, the amount of lawsuits these companies have, it's ridiculous. It don't matter.
Our innovation happens. That is why the drug companies will spend millions upon millions in research.
Were black and brown people a part of this process, or was it only like white folks, like NASCAR white folks?
The trials were intentionally broad and inclusive.
Yeah, black and brown folks have been recruited for the clinical trials.
We have ensured that
just like Tuskegee, anyway.
4 historically black medical schools, that we are all vaccine trial sites.
Here's the big question.
Like, is she proud of that? You proud of that? You're a trial site. You proud of that? You proud of that? I'm trying to show y'all just how far gone a lot of our people are. You proud of that? Oh, they came and they tried before they gave it to everybody else. They came to the black schools.
How much are you charging us for this vaccine?
Right now, getting vaccinated is free.
Free?
Yes, it's free.
Like free.
It will be free.
Like not even free 99.
We have not charged anyone.
Okay, should I be suspicious that you aren't charging us?
No, because there are some things that the government invests in that for the good of the people.
Taxpayers like you and I.
Y'all, I'm trying to... I'm showing you this because it's for the historical record. Now, because I want to make sure you don't forget any of this stuff. Okay? That's why I'm showing you all of this. Some of you are like, yeah, I remember all of this. I'm showing this for the historical record because apparently a lot of our people have very short memories. Okay? So I don't know if I could take too much of this, but let me just play a little bit more of it.
Contributed to development of these vaccines.
What if I'm not worried about getting COVID-19? Like you could say, I never had smallpox. I've never had tetanus. Why do I need the shot? That's why we give vaccines. Vaccines are prevention.
I pretty much tell people you're going to be exposed some kind of way, right? So you better be ready to fight.
And what about you? Have you? Will you?
I got my first dose about 3 weeks ago.
I have not gotten the vaccine yet, but rest assured, I'm anxiously waiting.
All right, I can't take anymore. I cannot take anymore. I can't take anymore. Now, these same people now, that's why I said, YouTube, the YouTube gods, everything I'm saying, I'm showing official information. So I'm not making anything up. I'm showing official information. This is all for educational purposes, and this is 100% official information. That's it. So if you're going to quote me, you better stick to the script. You better stick to the transcript of this video because everything I'm saying is 100% backed. All right. So I wonder, with this article coming out now that just came out June the 5th, COVID vaccines may have helped fuel the rise of excess deaths. I wonder now if the same doctors that we just saw, have they gone back and retracted some of the stuff that they said? Or are they showing any kind of great concern about this study? And when I tell you this thing is creating waves, listen, first of all, when I say it's creating waves, a lot of people already knew this. But it's creating ways for people who refuse to learn, and they prefer to learn, unfortunately, go the long route. Let's just put it that way. Are these doctors who in the black community is going back to these medical people and asking them about this study? And what is their stance on this thing now? Who's going back to them? What organization is going back and saying, wait a minute, oh, snap. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me that's what? Listen, this is what we're putting in this group here. Hold on. You can't, I'm just swiping through. This is our group here. A lot of this are people that look like us that ain't here anymore. I mean, it's other articles and stuff I'm putting on here too. Let me ask you something. What black organization can you name right now that's doing this? That's keeping track of all of this stuff? Name them for me. They got the fraternities, and you had the sororities, and you had all these medical organizations. They made sure front and center that they was out there and pushing this thing like ain't nobody's business, weren't they? Now, all of a sudden, the rest of the story is, quote unquote, officially coming out, and I don't hear from now one of these folks. I just had something up here. Oh, it's right here. This is from a Medicaid. One of the things we posted in this group is actually what they get paid. These doctors, what they were getting paid for every person that walked to that door and got the, you know what? We got the paperwork right here. Did they mention that in the video at all? No. So there was a financial incentive. There's another article that I had in there somewhere where it's in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. In the UK, they're now saying the celebrity doctors, you know how we have like doctor whoever it is, over here in the States, like the celebrity doctors, the ones that like mainstream media always goes to, right? Well, now they're coming out and saying that they're going to do a full investigation because many of these celebrity doctors that was pushing this thing, they were getting the bag. Let me ask you something again. How many black organizations are taking a stance and saying, we need to do our own investigation? How many black organizations do you know of that are saying we need to start counting the lives of grandma, grandpa, uncle, auntie, little man, all this stuff, and we're going to keep a list of all of these people that was okay before and ain't okay now? Where's the freaking list on that one? But I saw how when this thing was coming up, and a lot of people who were like, nah, I ain't with this thing. And they start getting in there, they started organizing. They started putting platforms together where they said, okay, we're going to start pulling from all these doctors all over here, all over the world. We're going to get together and we're going to put together our resources. We're going to put together our think tanks, and we're going to look at all of the details. We're going to look at all the records, because we're going to make sure our people are taken care of and they're equipped with all the information. And I looked at those people who were getting together. You know what those groups are made of? Mostly white people. But when it came to our people, we had no choice but to go to them, because black folk, we out there talking, well, we got to get it now. I guess we got to get it. We ain't got no choice, because because Jesus said, he said in the first book of Opinions, chapter 2, he said, we got to go get the shot. So how is this again tied to everything? When you do not take stances, and you don't draw the lines when it comes to your people and say, or come to you and say, hey, listen, no, we ain't gonna do this. This will not. We learned from Tuskegee. We learned from that. So now the standard is very high now. You ain't putting jack in us. You ain't putting jack until it goes through this system, until it goes through that system, until it goes through this. And then we all sit down and we look at this thing together, and you ain't giving us a whole line of stuff that we can't even interpret. No, we gonna look at this whole thing and we gonna analyze it. We should have been the experts when it came to filtering this thing. But it was whenever that video was done, you heard the doctor, a black doctor. That's a black doctor. And she's literally celebrating at the point of almost being giddy of the fact that she, at her school, the black schools, took the place of Tuskegee and being the test subjects. This is just a few years ago. You see what I'm saying? The genetic memory of ignorance got passed down from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next, because individuals did not think it was important enough to draw the line and to draw the standard and say, no, this is not going to happen. My family are going to be people that's going to ask questions. We're going to read, and we don't care if you like us or love us or not, we're going to make sure that certain things do not get passed. And we're going to be very detailed with that. We're going to keep records. We're going to keep receipts. And if you don't line up to what you're saying, we're going to make sure we put it right back in your face. Do you understand? So this is why it is so important for you as an individual to make sure that that genetic memory that we all have as individuals, that you're doing everything you can to preserve it, to protect it, to clean it up, whatever it got to be cleaned up, because there's a lot of people that's coming behind us. and what your actions are now is going to have a direct impact on them coming forth in the future. It is. So I know I gave you a lot to think about and a lot to process. And I think what I will do is immediately after this video is done, I'm going to chop it up. And so you're going to see probably over the next few hours, there will be clips of this video, this broadcast that I will put up to make it a little shorter. And, if you just want to get to a certain part, I'll just clip it up. And so you'll see over the next, I would say 12 hours or so, there'll be clips of this broadcast that I will upload so you can get to those important parts here of what we talked about tonight. And just so again, we're just emphasizing that we learned, for those that came in late, we started the conversation talking about how animals, they instinctively do things that we don't even teach them. They just know to do it. Humans are no different. We instinctively do things because it's really a genetic memory. It's something that, ancestors used to do, and somehow it's passed down to us, and we do the same thing, both the good things and the things that aren't so good. But you as an individual do have the power to make sure that those things, those talent, skills, and abilities and habits and stuff are of as you live your life, you want to make sure you're the best you, so that when you pass on, you're passing on something that is great and wonderful and something that can be built upon. But as long as we have these wide open doors here, what ends up happening is the self-destruction continues. And that's what we're seeing right now. It's a continual self-destruction. What we want to call the Black community. Like I said, again, there is no Black community because you can't spell community without unity. And there is no unity because it starts in the home. It starts at home. All right. And we have to get back to that. So I hope you guys got something out of all of this. And we're right at 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. So I'll definitely be clipping this up for you and get this up for you immediately. Okay. All right, you guys, listen, you guys take care. And thanks again for joining me. You take care and enjoy the rest of your day, evening, and week. Take care now.